All right, we'll say good morning. Let's begin. Our shir this morning is dedicated by Paul and Kathy Pollack in memory of Saul and Florette Pollack, Sarah Bas Rabbi Shmuel ben Zechariah. May their neshamas have an aliyah and the families in Chabad. Also, as we know, today is Yom HaShoah, the day in which one of the days, even though it's an interesting thing because even though we know that Tisha B'Av is the day that we commemorate all tragedies of Klal Yisrael, but nevertheless, this is a day that was designated to also commemorate this Korban. And so therefore, again, whatever one's religious feelings are is somewhat irrelevant. At the end of the day, any day that's set aside to remember such an incredible and overwhelming Korban of Klal Yisrael, of 6 million Kiddushim, requires us to be attentive. So we dedicate our learning this morning, the Ilui Nishmas, the 6 million Kiddushim, in the hope that their neshamas will have an aliyah, and they should Eretz Hashem, each of them individually be a Meretz Yoshua Klal Yisrael. I suppose so. Let's begin. Your base on the Aleph, first word. So the Gemara asks, was there really Shaman Mishcha? So remember again, to pick up a little bit, the Gemara beforehand was discussing the idea that King Yehoachaz was, I should say Yehoiakim, was anointed with Shaman HaMishcha. So the Gemara asks, was there Shaman HaMishcha in the times of Yehoiakim? After all, the Gemara says, V'hatanya Batudan, Nignas Aron, Nignas Shaman HaMishcha. When the Aron was hidden away, the Shaman HaMishcha was also hidden away. So we'll say this is actually a fascinating brisa, speaking about all of the things that were hidden away in anticipation of the destruction of the first Beis Hamikdash. So when the Aron was hidden, the Shaman HaMishcha was hidden. It's in Sanas Haman. Also, it was the jar of mud that was kept in the Aron. Umaklo shel Aron, the staff of Aron, shkediel kachel, with its almonds and its flowers. Va'argaz sheshalchu plishtim daron liYisrael, and included in that, of course, was the argaz, which is the box in which the plishtim sent a gift to Klal Yisrael. What is this referring to? Shnei Amar ve'es klei hazav asher shevosem la'Hasham tasimu ba'argaz mitzidov shilachtem osav halach. So we'll say this is referring to when the sons of Eli, Chafni and Pinchas, took the Aron out to war with Klal Yisrael and were defeated by the Plishtim. The Plishtim not only defeated Klal Yisrael, but they also went ahead and took the Aron captive. This is the famous Ma'aseh Navi, where wherever they took the Aron, there was an incredible outbreak of diarrhea and hemorrhoids to the point that the Plishtim said, thanks but no thanks. They sent back the Aron, and together with the Aron, they sent back a gift of gold. That gold was kept together with the Aron. So the Gemara is saying that when they hid away the Aron, they hid away that gold as well. Umi Gonzo, and who hid the Aron? Yoshio Melech Yehuda Gonzo. Yoshio, the king of Yehuda, went ahead and hid it away. Why? Because he saw the pasuk that said, Yolech Hashem Oscha Ves Malkecha. Yoshio saw the writing on the wall that there was going to be a galus. And he saw the writing on the wall that the Beis Hamikdash was going to be destroyed. And as such, he did not want these items falling into Gentile hands. And therefore, again, he went ahead and he hid them. Therefore, Tziva v'ganzum shnei amar, v'yomer le'levim ha'mevinim l'chol Yisrael, ha'kedoshim la'Hashem, tnuas arna kodesh bebayis asher bana Shlomo ben David, melech Yisrael. So apparently, Shlomo HaMelech built subterranean chambers in the first Beis Hamikdash. Whether he built them in anticipation of its destruction or whether he built them from some other reason, the point is there are subterranean chambers in the Beis Hamikdash. So Yoshio gives the command to the Leviim to hide the Aron as well as all these other things in some of the subterranean. Which also is an amazing thing because what it tells us is, at least according to this Gemara, that the Aron HaBris is in Harabayis. It's somewhere there. It's somewhere buried in Harabayis itself, waiting ultimately, again, I guess, for Mashiach to come to reveal its location. So the Gemara, said this is such a beautiful pasuk. So Yoshio tells the Leviim, you no longer have any avoda b'kasef. Avoda b'kasef means what? You don't have to carry anything. There's no longer anything for you to carry. But what is your job? So ivdu es Hashem Elokeichem ve'es amo Yisrael. What's your job? To be an Eved Hashem and to be an Eved to Klal Yisrael. Just because you don't have yours, this goes back to what we saw 2 days ago, right? About the idea that any form of leadership is really a form of avdus. You don't carry the Aron anymore now. That's fine. Be an Eved to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, be an Eved to Klal Yisrael. Amar Elazar, Asya, the Gemara makes the Gzera Shava from Asya Sham. Asya Mishmeres, Asya Doros. So we'll say ultimately again make Gzir Shava between all of these items listed above to teach us that just as the Aron was hidden, so too all of these items were hidden as well. So we'll say, so therefore again we come back to our original question. How could you tell me that Yehoachaz was anointed with Shemen HaMishcha because of his older brother Yehoiakim, when at the end of the day there is no more Shemen HaMishcha by this point in time? To which the Gemara answers, Amra Papa, Ba'afar Samadachya. You're right, Rabbi Shmuel. There is no Shemen HaMishcha, but instead he was anointed ultimately again with balsam oil. With balsam oil. Okay, so there was Shemen HaMishcha, balsam oil. Remember again, we may mention this. Who else was anointed with balsam oil? Shemen HaFar Simon, Shaul. Why? Because Shaul was not a Davidic king. Malchus was always going to come from Yehuda. Shaul is from Ephraim. So Shemen HaFar Simon, Rabbi Shmuel, represents an anointing, but we'll call it a more temporal anointing. So the Gemara goes right. These Gemaras are amazing. How do you go ahead and anoint the king? How do you anoint the king? So Kamin Nazer. So the Gemara says you go ahead and you make it like a Kamin Nazer. Nazer means like a crown. Like a crown. Ve'esa Kohanim Kimin Ki. And the Kohanim ultimately again like a key. My Kimin Ki. So we'll say, so again, the king, you take Shemen HaMishcha, you smear it around his head like a crown. How do you go ahead and anoint the Kohanim? Kimin Ki. My Kimin Ki, Kimin Kaf Yevani, like a Greek kaf. Now, if you look at Rashi has over here Kimin Nazer, Kimin Kaf Yevani, Rashi has it looking like a letter Ches. So we'll say the way that looks, by the way, according to Rashi, is, I'm going to give you a visual over here. You start between the eyes, and essentially, again, you smear the Shemen HaMishcha down up the head, all the way down to the neck. So it's like a Ches. It's like a Ches. Others say it looks a little bit more like a chaf. So this, okay, but you get the point over here is you're starting at the front of the head and you're smearing the oil all the way to the back of the head. Tani chada betchila motzkin shemen arosho v'achakach nosnin lo shemen ben rishte einay. So we'll say, so we have two. We're going to see now we have two conflicting accounts. According to one account, we go ahead and we pour the shemen on his head first, and then afterwards we put it between his eyes. The Tanya Chrisi, a different price says, no, first we put the shemen between his eyes, and then we go ahead and we pour it on his head. Tonight, we'll say it's machlokes about the proper order. We know that anointing requires both pouring as well as putting oil between the eyes. So it's machlokes apparently again, which is the proper order. So some say, again, I will say that the anointing between the eyes is the most important part, and others say no, it is the pouring of the oil on the head that is the most important part. My time in demand Amar Yitzika Adifa. We'll say, what is the reason for the opinion who says that the pouring is the most important part? Vayitzok mishemen hamishcha al rosh Aaron vayimshach oso lekadsho. We'll say because again the pasuk itself says what? Vayitzok first. The pasuk itself says you pour the oil before you anoint the oil or you dab the oil, you smear the oil. So you see that tzika is more important. The opinion who says that no, the smearing is more important. Kasavar shekin atamotzi itzak lisharis. He says, remembering in Avosai, that the tzika pouring of oil is something you not only find by the Kohen, but you also find by what? By the Kalim. The fact that the utensils are also anointed with pouring tells us that pouring is the dominant form of inauguration. So the Gemara says, but here's the problem. The order in the pasuk is first Vayitzok pour, and then Vayimshach anoint. Hachi kamar. This is what the pasuk means to say. Matan Vayitzok. Why is it that ultimately again we pour? Mishum de Vayimshach. Because the anointing has already been done. So we'll say fundamental machlokes tanoim as to ultimately again how the proper anointing was done. Two parts to the anointing. One is the pouring of the oil over the head. One is the smearing between the eyes. Which one was done first? So we'll say just you should know. The Braisa Paskins, the Rambam Paskins, that first motzkin and then nosnin. The Rambam Paskins that the way they would anoint the Kohen Gadol was first to go ahead and pour the oil and then to go ahead and smear it between his eyes. Okay? So Gemara says the following. Ten Rabbanon. He's going to say these Gemaras are amazing. Kishemen hatov yored ala zakan zikan aron. Like good oil that flows down the beard. That flows down the beard, that flows down the beard of the older Aaron HaKohen. So I'll say, so the pasuk over here is quoting. Let me read you the pasuk in its entirety. So the pasuk over here, it's from Til. Kashaman atov harosh al harosh yored al hazakan zikan aron she yored al pimi dosa. So I'll say, so what shemen hatov are we talking about that's flowing down the beard of Aaron HaKohen? So the Gemara says it's a reference ultimately again to the shemen hamishcha. Remember again, Aaron is anointed by Moshe with anointing oil. Shemen hamishcha. Also listen to this beautiful Gemara. Kimin shnei tipos margolios hayutluyos la Aaron bezikno. Also listen to this. There were 2 droplets of shemen hamishcha that were constantly hanging on the edge of Aaron's beard. Amar Papa, Tana. So I'll say when Aaron would talk, so the droplets would like roll up the beard a little bit. Why? So that they wouldn't fall off as he was talking. So 2 droplets of Shemen HaMishcha that sit on the edge of his beard, and when he would talk, they would roll up. We'll discuss the symbolism. And we'll say regarding these 2 droplets, Moshe Rabbeinu was always worried. What was he worried about? We'll say second wide line, Yud Beis Amud Aleph. Amar, maybe I committed an act of Me'ilah. And what is it? So maybe I applied too much Shemen HaMishcha, and therefore, again, it constitutes an act of Me'ilah. Remember again, what's Me'ilah? Me'ilah is illegal or mundane use of consecrated property. So the Gemara says, Yotzatz Baskol va'amra kishemen hatov. So ultimately, again, the Baskol comes out and says, kishemen hatov, like the good oil, kital chermon. And again, I will say so beautifully, the Gemara, the pasuk compares. This is the very next pasuk. This is all in Kapitel Kuf Lamed Gimel 133. It says kital chermon shiorei l'harei Tzion, like the dew of the chermon which falls down in Harei Tzion. So what's the comparison between the oil and tal chermon and the dew? Matal chermon in bo me'ilah, av shemen hamishcha shebezaken aron in bo me'ilah. Just like Rabbi said, there is no me'ilah with dew, so too again, the shemen hamishcha in the beard of Aaron, there is no me'ilah as well. Va'adayin haya Aaron doeg, but still Aaron was concerned. Amar shema Moshe lo ma'alav aval ma'alti. Well, Aaron says maybe Moshe didn't commit me'ilah, but maybe I did. Maybe I got some hana from the oil that was not kohanically related. Yotzas Baskol va'amra, so beautiful. Kinei matolu manoim sheves achim gam yachad. Ma Moshe lo ma'ol af ata lo ma'alta. So pasuk says how beautiful it is for brothers to sit together in peace, just like Moshe Rabbeinu didn't commit me'ilah. Aaron, don't worry, you didn't commit me'ilah as well. We'll say again very quickly, what's the symbolism? The Shemen HaMishcha is always sitting in the beard of Aaron. Let's say when a Shemen HaMishcha put on, applied to someone, when they're inaugurated for a new service. The Shemen HaMishcha represents newness. The Shemen HaMishcha represents excitement. The Shemen HaMishcha represents reasons for something new. What Chazal were telling us was that the Shemen HaMishcha always remained on the beard of Aaron. It was as moist, it was as wet as the day it was applied. To tell you that Aaron's excitement for the Kahuna Gidola, Aaron's excitement for his Avodas Hashem was as fresh every single day as the first day he did it. And ultimately, again, the incredible metaphor for us. So we know that the greatest challenge in our Yiddishkeit is not the execution of God's commandments. Generally speaking, we can handle that. We can handle Shmiras HaMitzvos, observance. Our greatest challenge is feeling a newness, is feeling an excitement, is feeling like it's something special that we have the opportunity to do. The godless of Aaron HaKohen was not simply that he complied with the divine mandate. That's obvious. Every Jew has to comply with the divine mandate. The godless of Aaron HaKohen is that he felt an excitement like the day in which the Shemen HaMishcha was first applied to him. So the Gemara goes like, I want to say beautiful Gemara. In Moshe Mesamalachim ala Mayon, Kadesha Timashech Malchusam. Let's say so. We only anoint kings. We anoint kings. This literally means we only anoint kings by a mayon, by a spring. Kadesha Timashech Malchusam. We'll say because anointing a king by a spring was like a symbolically good omen. The idea being that just like the spring flows, so too again the king's monarchy should continue to flow as well. Shene Emar, Vayom HaMelech was that's like just as in a total aside. If you go into the tour of Ir David and you take the water tunnel, the Gihon, that's the Gihon spring. We'll say that is where Klal Yisrael historically anointed Malachim by the Gihon. It's an incredible thing to see. You stand in that, and it's okay. It's fun because you're walking through water, but more fun than walking through water, I will say, is to stand on the spot where literally, again, Malchi Beis David were anointed. That's the spot. So the Gemara goes weiter. The Gemara says, "Shneimar ve'imar melech lehem kichui mochem es avdi adonechem v'araditem osa la gichot." Oh, gichot, good. Rabbi Yami, hi man, listen to this. We'll say this. I have to tell you, originally I wasn't going to be here today, and then when I saw this Daf Gemara, I said, you know, I can't miss this. I can't miss this. So also listen to this. Rabbi Ami, hi man de boy leida imasik shasi ilo. Also listen to this. If a person wanted to know if they're going to live out the year or not. Now again, please don't leave early from this before we finish this piece over here, right? I don't want anyone walking away with things. Listen to this. First wants to know if they're going to live out the year or not. So what should you do? Ilo nitli shaga basar yom debein rosh yom kippur. Take a candle during Aser Simei Tshuva. Put it in a house, bless you, where there is not a strong wind, bless you. If the candle remains lit, it's enough. All right? If the candle remains lit, then what? Neda demasik shasya. Also, if the candle remains lit, then a person knows that they're going to live out the year. So, you hear this? Take a candle, but during Aser Simei Tshuva, place it in a home where there is not a strong wind. If the candle remains lit, you're going to live out the year. Similarly, number one. Number two, person wants to know if they're going to be successful in business. I have a particular business venture that I want to undertake. Am I going to be successful or not? And I want to know if I'm going to be successful or not successful. Buy yourself a rooster. If the rooster gets fat, then I will say that's a sign you're going to be successful. Number three, I'm going on a trip and I wonder if I'm going to come back. I wonder if I'm going to make it back or not. So what should I do? So what happens? So we'll say ultimately again, go to a home that is darkened, that is pitch dark, but that is darkened. If you see the shadow of your shadow, then you know ultimately again that you're going to come home okay. So I'll say, I want to point something out over here. What is going on in this Gemara, right? What is this talking about? So first of all, I'll say, the Maharsha, again, I'm going to owe you, you'll write this down. I owe you this Maharsha. We have to do this inside. Maybe Shabbos, because Shabbos is daf, is a tiny little dafala. It's just a little piece. So I'll say, the Maharsha says over here, he says, I don't understand. There's a biblical prohibition of lo senachashun. You're not allowed to engage in forms of divination. So we don't do omens. So the Maharsha says something absolutely amazing. The Maharsha says, if you look at the Gemara does something dramatic. If a person wants to know if they're going to live out the year or not, so what does the Gemara say? Take a candle, put it in a home where there's not a lot of wind. And what does the Gemara say? If it stays lit, then you're going to live. We'll say, what doesn't the Gemara say? If it goes out, you're going to die. We'll say, if you notice again on each of the things mentioned in the Gemara, the only thing that's mentioned is the positive. The Maharsha says something amazing. The default setting of life is that things are going to work out. A person has to have an expectation that things in life are going to work out, that I'm going to live, that I'm going to be successful, that I'm going to make it back home. So if I do the omen and the omen confirms the positive outcome, then what? We'll say that's not an omen. What is that? Life. That's life. That is an affirmation that things are good, which is the natural default mindset of the Jew. If the candle goes out, what does it mean? Nothing. It means nothing. It means don't pay attention to it because, again, that's an omen then. So we'll say it's an amazing yesod. When the Gemara talks about these omens are here ultimately, again, to affirm a positive outlook on life, which is supposed to be the default outlook, of the Jew. So if these omens confirm the positive outcome, fantastic. You think it says something negative, simply ignore it. I will say, so you understand, I'm not doing the Maharsha justice, it's a much longer piece. I will say you understand the godless in this idea that is teaching us how to look at life. There are some people that are always waiting for the other shoe to drop. There are some people who are just waiting for the sky to fall. And sometimes for a good reason, sometimes because they had a lot of life trauma and a lot of life difficulties. And sometimes when you've been through a lot, you just expect bad stuff to happen. It's understandable, but that's not what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants of us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to have a positive expectation for life, that things are good, that things will work out, that life is beautiful. That has to be the natural default. So you say to yourself, okay, it's easy to have that mindset if everything works out. But again, herein lies the true test of our spiritual mettle. I'm supposed to have that outlook even if things don't work out. It didn't work out this time. It'll work out next time. It didn't work out for the last 25 years. It's okay. Baruch Hashem, the next 25 are going to be great. I would say that's the power of the Jew, to have an unconquerable optimism, to have an unconquerable positive outlook on life. That's what these signs do. But look how the Gemara ends off. The Gemara says, "V'lav milsihi." But my suggestion, the Gemara says, is don't pay attention to omens. Why? The Gemara says, "Dilma chol shadaiti misramazlei." Because you know what the problem is? The problem is, as beautiful as that marsha is, if you're that guy who lights the candle and then what? It goes out. Suddenly, it's not going to be so easy to shake that one off. So therefore, the Gemara says, you know what? You're better off just staying away from omens, not omens, from staying from these type of symbols in general. But we'll say, yet the Gemara says something just to pull up. This is very exciting. Abaye, hashtag the Amrit Simna Milsi. We'll say, do you see this? This is the Gemara. So Abaye says, now that you tell me that omens are significant, not biblically prohibited omens, but like signs are significant. Get ready for this. We'll say, this is halacha l'maisa. Le'olam yehi ragil le'mechse bereish shasa. We'll say, therefore, a person should always look at. Now, if you notice again, so the girsa over here is lemechze. So the Hagos Yunim changes it to lemechol. We'll say, in fact, again, this Gemara appears here in Maseches Horayos and in Edios, and I will say two different girsos. One is lemechze, one is lemechol. T.E. We'll discuss in just a moment. So Abaye says, now that we said that omens are significant, a person on Rosh Hashanah should look at or should eat kra, rubya, karsi, silky, tamre. Person should eat a gourd and a fenugreek and leeks and beets and dates. So we'll say, you understand? We do this. This is Simna Milsa. We do this at Rosh Hashanah, right? We sit down and we go through a whole bunch of foods on Rosh Hashanah. Where does that practice come from? That is a derivative. Now, that's the Gemara. We'll say, now, if you look at Rashi for just a moment, Rashi says over here, Rashi says, if you look, it's on the left-hand side of Rashi, about 6 lines into the short lines. Kra, rubya, karsi, silky, tamri. Why these food items? Dahani gadli la'agal tfei mishayirakos. Well, say Rashi says the common denominator amongst these things is that they grow fast. They represent vitality. So we choose to say this is different because the Torah brings down something different. The Torah explains that the reason we eat these items is because they're names, which also we see the hiratzons. The hiratzons somehow are a play on these names. Rashi says, no, the common denominator amongst these items is they grow quickly, and therefore they represent vitality. Because of that, ultimately, again, we begin Rosh Hashanah with those items. But to just say something interesting, the Mater Ephraim actually brings down this idea. He says, why does one Gemara say lemechsi lemechel? Well, so I'd say there's an incredible nafkamina. Let's say I don't like any of the symbolic foods. I don't like dates, beets, leeks, fenugreek, fish heads, lamb's heads, just not my thing, right? I don't. So I'll say, so what? Which for many people that's the case. And so I'll say, so what happens if I don't like any of these things? What do you do with it? So the Mater Ephraim says there is still an inyan to have each of them on your table and to look at them and to recite the yiratzon based on the skirs of the Gemara. Everyone thinks it's just lamechal, just to eat. It's not true. Even if you're not going to eat it, there's an inyan ultimately to have it. Lamechse to look at it. Incredible. Says the Gemara. Rameshashi has said to his son, when you want to come and learn Torah from your rebbeim, gersu masnisa va'alu l'kamei rabbaychu. Well, so listen to this. Prepare. Learn the Mishnayos before you go to your Rebbe. Well, so in other words, if you want to really learn, so it's incredible yisod. Learning requires preparation. You can't just show up to learn. A person has to prepare themselves. So he says, review your Mishnayos, and then go before your Rebbe. And when you sit before your Rebbe, also listen to this. Look at your Rebbe's mouth. Look at your Rebbe's mouth. We'll say such an interesting application. We know that pasuk to mean that ultimately, again, we should be looking at our Rebbeim. He's saying over here, Dafka, look at their their lips as the words are coming out. When you learn by a river. She sounds nice. So we can go to the Baltimore Hebrew parking lot. Right? We learn by a river. We'll say in the same way that ultimately, again, the water flows, so your learning should flow as well. V'tivu al kilkolik damas machasya, v'lo tivu apane de pompadisa. We'll say, listen to this profound statement. And better to learn in the garbage heaps, or better to sit, I should say, to live in the garbage heaps of Masa Machasya, and don't live in the palaces of Pumpadisa. We'll say, look at Rashi for just a moment. The Masa Machasya, Havu Tamidi Chacham Royim Laura Satarbus Yafa, Hayabahem, Aval Pumdisa Lo Hava Tarbus Mal, Yokokach, the Kamerle Mutav Lo Lodar Ba'ashpa, Masa Machasya, Milodar Apan Pumdisa. Better to live in a garbage dump in Pumpadisa than in a mansion, in Masa Machasya, than a mansion in Pumpadisa. So what does that mean? That apparently Masa Machasya was an incredible Makom Torah. Pumpadisa not as much, which is interesting because you have to think Pumpadisa was one of the major Torah cities. I guess at different points in history it was different, the quality was different. Better to live in a garbage heap in a Makom Torah than to live in a mansion in a place that is not a Makom Torah. Furthermore, Tov Galdina Sarya. Furthermore, again, better to eat a galdina sarvos. Galdina was a type of fish. Better to eat a type of fish, ultimately of this galdina fish that's about to spoil, than to eat the kusach of Rami Kipi. So kusach was a higher end dip. So better to eat a fish that's almost going bad than to eat the fine dip of the kusach. Which means what? Be careful how many, what's the right word? Pleasures in life you attach yourself to, because I will say the more pleasures a person needs, the higher the material upkeep is, the more difficult it is to focus on spirituality. So what he's telling his son is better to get by on the putrid fish than to have to require the kusach, because once you require the kusach, again, you're going to need a lot more materialism ultimately again to make you happy. So also he's giving his son all of these incredible lessons. Live in a Makom Torah, even if it means living in a garbage dump, better than going ahead and living in a mansion somewhere there's not a Makom Torah. Be careful how much materialism you build into your life. Because whatever materialism you build into your life, so we all know this, what begins as a luxury very quickly becomes a necessity. And once it becomes a necessity, you move on to the next luxury. That becomes a necessity until these things become indispensable parts of my life, which then unfortunately leads me sometimes to place an overemphasis on my materialism and less of an emphasis on my spirituality. Beautiful. Rama Karni Belokai. So I'll say the pasuk says, David HaMelech says, literally, my horn was lifted to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rama Karni Velo Rama Pachi. Literally, and I will say now, we assume that this horn is a reference to the horn in which the Shem and Mishka was contained. My horn and not my jug. David and Shlomo who were anointed with the oil inside of the keren, inside of a horn, so their monarchy endured. Shaul but Shaul and Yerubbasel who were anointed with oil from a pach, from an earthenware jug, their monarchy did not endure. I will say the pashtus, what that means is as follows. Rashi points out that a pach is earthenware. Earthenware easily cracks, as opposed to a horn, right? A keren endures. So I'll say, so because of that, those who are anointed from the horn, their monarchy endures. Those anointed from the pach, their monarchy does not. So also we're going to go back a little bit to Gemara. So remember again, the Mishnah made a distinction between the Kohen Gadol who was anointed with Shaman HaMishcha versus the Kohen Gadol who was Meruba Bebegadim. Says the Gemara, but a Mashiach Yachol Melech. So we'll say when it says Mashiach, so maybe Mashiach doesn't refer to the good morning, Mr. Schoenfeld. Maybe Mashiach doesn't refer to the Kohen Gadol, maybe it refers to the Melech. If it says Kohen, I might have thought that even refers to the Kohen who is anointed with the Kohanic vestments. Therefore, the pasuk says Mashiach. If it just says Mashiach, I might have thought that's even the king of Osai, who is appointed ultimately again to go to war. Osai, by the way, this pasuk is talking about the special power of the Kohen Gadol. I might have thought that even this is the Kohen who goes out to war. Therefore, also the pasuk goes out and uses a distinct lashon of V'hakohen. Hamashiach Shenu Mashiach al Gabav, who is anointed, which means there is no one anointed above him. So the Gemara says, "My mashma kedamarava hayarech hamiyumena shabiyarech." So also the same way in the pasuk talks about hayarech, it means again the specific part. And yeah, this is not the Isra of Giran Nosha. Hakanami Hamashiach. When it says Hamashiach hamiyuman shebemeshuchim, means the one who is designated amongst all those who are anointed. Because remember again, as we saw before, the Kohen Mashiach Melchama was also anointed, but the Kohen Gadol ultimately again was the unique ones amongst those who were anointed. Amar Mar Mashiach Yachol Melech. So I'll say when the Gemara said before that if I might have thrown the pasuk says Mashiach, Maybe that refers to the king. Melech parhu demaisi. Does the king, if the king inadvertently does something which is asur, does he bring a par? Sarhu demaisi. He brings a sar. That's a first pasuk. To which the Gemara says, I'm going to throw as follows. For an accidental act, maybe he brings a sire. Al helam davar yavir par. We'll say in a case of helam davar, maybe he should have to bring a par. Kamash v'lano. We'll say kamash v'lano midarshin that the pasuk of Hamashiach ultimately again refers to the Kohen Gadol. Fine. Ein bein mashuach b'shon hamishcha. So we'll say the Mishnah then discusses ultimately the distinctions between the mashuach b'shon hamishcha, the Kohen Gadol who is anointed with oil, versus the Kohen Gadol who is meruba bebegadim. Masnisin delok Rabbi Meir. We'll say our Mishnah does not reflect the view of Rabbi Meir. The Rabbi Meir, because if it was Rabbi Meir, Hatanya, he said, Meruba begadim, maybe par, haba akala mitzvah. Rabbi Meir, so because again, Rabbi Meir says that even Meruba begadim, I say even the Kohen Gadol, who is not appointed to Shana Mishcha, but rather is appointed because of the Kohanic vestments. So he brings a par alkala mitzvah. So we'll say he brings the special par of the Kohen Gadol, the Rabbi Meir. For the whole Chachamim. The Chacham didn't agree with him. The Chacham said that the only Kohen who brings the special power of the Kohen Gadol is a Kohen Gadol who is anointed with Shana Mishcha, not Meruba V'Gadim. My time to Meir. So what's Rabbi Meir's logic? This Sanya Mashiach Eini Ela Mashiach B'Shana Mishcha. I only know that it refers to a Kohen who is anointed with Shana Mishcha. Meruba V'Gadim Minayin. How do I know that it even refers to a Kohen who is anointed with clothing? Talmud Lomar HaKohen HaMashiach. Ultimately, again, the pasuk says HaKohen HaMashiach B'Mayu Kimtei. So who are we establishing this? Like Rabbanon Amud Beis Amos Seifa. We'll say, yeah, look at the end of that brayso. Ein bein Kohen Mishamish LeKohen Shavar Ela Par Yom Kippurim V'Asira Saif Asiris Haifa. We'll say, yeah, what at the end of the brayso said, or the end of the Mishnah said, that there is no distinction between the Kohen Mishamish. So we'll say Kohen Mishamish means the active Kohen Gadol who is serving the Kohen Shavar. We'll say who's the Kohen Shavar? That was the fill-in Kohen Gadol. He was the Kohen Gadol again who filled in when there was something going on with the first Kohen Gadol. So there is no distinction between the two except Par Yom Kippurim, the special Par of Yom Kippur, and Asir Sefer, which both says the meal offering given by the Kohen Gadol every day. So the Gemara says, who does that reflect? Asan Rabbi Meir. Both say that ultimately again reflects the view of Rabbi Meir. The Sanya, because after all we learned, Irabo Psul B'Kohen Gadol Va'avar. So let's listen to this. If something happened to the Kohen Gadol, there was some type of psul, and they had to remove him from office, Ve'umino Kohen Acher Tachtov, and they appointed a replacement Kohen Gadol, Harishon Chozer Lavados. Well, so this is actually amazing. What happens when Kohen Gadol number one comes back to work? What happens when he comes back to work? So we'll say, so what happens? So the first one has the ability to come back to work. He's now the practicing Kohen Gadol. Vasheni Kol Mitzvos HaKuhuna Alav. So the Sheni is still, of course, a full-fledged Kohen. Rabbi Meir. So we'll say ultimately, again, these words are Rabbi Meir. So we'll say Rabbi Meir ultimately holds that the first one is still a full-fledged Kohen. So we'll say but Pashtos, what that means is that he just goes back to, he's not a Kohen Gadol because Lamaisi he can't have two Kohanim Gedolim, but he's just a regular Kohen. Rabbi Yossi Omer Rishon Choz Lavadoso. Rabbi Yossi says when the first Kohen Gadol is fit for service, he comes back to work. V'sheni ein oroi lo the Kohen Gadol lo the Kohen Hedjot. Wow. And what happens? The second guy I will say is Nishtaher, nothing. He's not the Kohen Gadol, and he can't be a regular Kohen either. We'll discuss that in just a moment. Amr Rabbi Yossi, Maisa bi Yosef ben Elim, Mitzipur. I will say this happened. There was once an episode with Yosef ben Elim, who was the Kohen Gadol. She'ira bo psul be Kohen Gadol, va'avar umino acher tachtov. So I say, so what happens? So there was this episode of the Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol got a psul. And what happens was they appointed another person. And then when the first Kohen Gadol came back to work, what happens? When the replacing Kohen Gadol, the replacement was now out of a job. He couldn't be a Kohen Gadol and he couldn't be any Kohen Hedjot. Why not? Kohen Gadol mishum eva. I will say, in general, again, a Kohen Gadol because of animosity. You can't have two Kohanim Gedolim. It doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. There can't be two kings. There can't be two Kohanim Gedolim. At the end, there has to be one leader. So, furthermore, Kohen Hedjot mishum ma'alin b'kodesh ve'in moridin. And I will say, you can't go back to being a Kohen Hedjot either. Why not? Because I will say, once you've been a Kohen Gadol, you can't go back to being a Kohen Hedjot. That doesn't make sense. Ma'alin b'kodesh ve'in moridin. So I will say, says I don't say, based on this, Reish Rabbanon v'seif Rabbi Meir. You're going to tell me then that the Reish reflects the view of the Rabbanon. The safe of the view of Rabbi Meir. I'm Rabbi Yosef. I'm a Rabbi. Just lost the place. Safe Rabbi Meir. I'm Rabbi Chistein. He said, yes, Reish Rabbanan B'Sefer Rabbi Meir. Yes, that is the way to read the Brayso. Rabbi Yosef Amar Rebbe. Rabbi Yosef says, no, the entire flexible view of Rebbe. But Nasivli Aliba de Tanai. So Rebbe is the author of the Mishnah, and Rebbe chose to plug in different Tanaic opinions in different parts of the Mishnah. Rava Amar Reb Shimon he, B'Sarvala Kraimer Bechada, Upalagale Bechada. Rava says, no, it's Rabbi Shimon, and also Rabbi Shimon holds like Rabbi Meir in one case, and disagrees with Rabbi Meir in the other. Where do we see this? Tisanya, Dvarim Shebein Kohen Gadol, a Kohen Hedjot. So we'll say, what are the differences between a Kohen Gadol and a Kohen Hedjot? Eluhain, these are the differences. Par Haba Kol HaMitzvos. We'll say, number one is a special par that only a Kohen Gadol brings if indeed he transgresses something. Upar Yom Kippurim, the par of Yom Kippur, Vasir Sa'ifa, and the special daily meal offering. We'll say, now watch this, below Porea, below Pore. And we'll say, furthermore, again, if a Kohen Gadol suffers a loss, lo Porea also means he doesn't let his hair grow long, right? And Poreim, he does not go ahead and tear his clothing. Aval hu Poreim lamata. So we'll say, but what can the Kohen Gadol do? We'll discuss this in depth. He could tear his clothing from the bottom. Now we'll discuss what that means in just a moment. Va'hedjot milamala. But a hedjot, meaning we'll say in this case, a hedjot means what? A regular Kohen could tear his clothing from the top, for avelos. Ve'im matami lekrovim. And I will say neither of them, and the Kohen Gadol doesn't have the ability to go ahead and be matame even for his krovim, even for his immediate relatives. Umusar ala besula, and a Kohen Gadol could only marry a besula. Va'asar ba'almana, and he cannot marry. Kohen Gadol can't marry an almana. Umachziras harotzeach, and the death of the Kohen Gadol ultimately again allows the rotzeach to leave the ira miklat. Umakriv onein, Kohen Gadol could go ahead and offer up karbanos even when he's in onein. We'll remember again, aninos is the period between death and burial. Ve'ena ochel. We'll say even though he could offer up a karban during the time of aninos, he can't eat of that karban during that time. Ve'ena cholik, and he doesn't receive a portion of karbanos offered during the time of aninos either. Makriv chelik barosh, venota chelik barosh. We'll say if the Kohen Gadol has to offer a karban, he's allowed to cut the line, right? He can go ahead and offer first. And we'll say, and again, he is permitted to take his portion of any karban before any other Kohen. And he wears 8 different garments. And I will say again, the entire avodah of Yom Kippur is only kosher with him, or it's only could be done. I will say first, why line your basement days? And I will say ultimately again, if he inadvertently rules regarding, we saw this a couple of days ago, regarding if he erroneously rules regarding something to do with the Beis Hamikdash and laws of Tumah, so ultimately again he is pater. Pater means he doesn't have a special carbon on that. And we'll say the truth is all of these items, all of these requirements, which apply to a Kohen Gadol who is anointed with the Shemen HaMishcha, also apply to a Kohen Gadol who is meruba b'begadim, with one exception, chutz mipar ha'mevi akol ha'mitzvos. We'll say for one thing, which is a special power that is brought in a situation where the Kohen Gadol permits something that is punishable by kares. Only a Kohen Gadol who was anointed with oil brings that power. A Kohen Gadol who is meruba b'begadim, who is anointed, I will say, through putting on the vestments of the Kohen Gadol, does not bring that power. But kula noagin b'mashiach shavar, and I will say all of these halachos of the Kohen Gadol also apply to what? To a replacement Kohen Gadol who is now out of a job. Right? To replace the Kohen Gadol once the original Kohen Gadol comes back, so that's called mashiach shavar. Chutz mipar yom kippur and vasira seifa, with the exception again of the par of Yom Kippur and the daily meal offering. And we'll say none of these things apply to the Kohen Gadol who was anointed for the purposes of Orchutz, Mehei, Devarim Ha'amurim B'Parsha, with the exception of 5 things which are stated in the Torah, namely, Lo Porea V'Lo Poreim, if he suffers the loss of a close relative, he does not allow his hair to grow, right? Nor does he tear his clothing. The Krovim, he cannot become tummy to his relatives. Musar ala Besula, he too has to marry a Besula. V'Asr Ba'almana, and he cannot marry an almana. Umachziras harotzeach, and he has the ability through his death, ultimately to what? To allow the rotzeach to leave the ira miklat. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, the Chacham say no, eno machzir. So Rabbi say ultimately again, the Kohen Mashuach Melchama, his death does not allow the rotzeach to come back home. So we'll say machlokas Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim about whether or not the death of the Mashuach Melchama allows the rotzeach to come back. Bahai, Maid Reb Shimoni. So we'll say, how do you know ultimately this reflects over Rabbi Shimon? Amar Papa, Man Shamas laid down who is the one who said before that the Merub Begadim is pater on Tumas Mikdash V'Kadashav, to which the Gemara says that's Rabbi Shimon. Good. Chutz mehei dvarim hamurim parsh. So also remember again, the Bryce had just said before that the Kohen Mashuach Milchama is considered to be all of the halachos that we discussed by the Kohen who was Mashuach b'Shemen HaMishcha do not apply to the Kohen Mashuach Milchama, with the exception of 5 things. So I'll say those are the 5 things that we just mentioned. Namely, again, he doesn't let his hair grow, he doesn't tear his clothing, he doesn't become tummy even to close relatives, he has to marry a basula, and he can't marry an almana. So we'll say, so says the Gemara, from where do we know this from? Where do we know this from? Right, the Kohen who is greater than his brothers, Zeh Kohen Gadol. Well, so this is first the Kohen Gadol. Asher Yutzak al Rosh Shemen HaMishcha, you will put oil on his head. Zeh Mashuach Milchama. Well, so this refers what to the Kohen who was anointed for war. Umili Asedol Bosha Sabegadim, and literally again he fills his hands to go to wear the Kohen Gadol, which refers to the special clothing of the Kohen Gadol. Zeh Merubah Gadim. Well, so this refers ultimately again to a Kohen who becomes Kohen Gadol by putting on the special vestments of the Kohen Gadol. Akulan who Omer Rosho lo Yifra Begadav lo Yifra. We'll say that all of these Kohanim. So we'll say whether you are a Kohen Mashuach Milchama, right? Whether you are actually whether you're a Kohen Gadol, Mashuach Milchama, or Meruba Begadim, the halach is we'll say that what upon all of them it is said, Rosho lo Yifra, do not cut your hair in the event of Avelus, and Begadav lo Yifra, do not tear your clothing. Nor can you come in contact with any corpse. I might have thought that all of them offer up karbanos even in a state of aninos. Talmud Lomar kinezer shemen mishchas alokav alav. Well, the pasuk says literally the crown of the anointing oil is on his head. V'lo alav v'lo al chavero. Ultimately, again upon him and not upon his fellow. So we'll say it is only the Kohen Gadol who is anointed with Shemen HaMishcha who has the ability to go ahead and offer up a karban while he is an onein. That is unique to him. That does not apply to any of our other Kohanim Gedolim, even though all of the Kohanim Gedolim. Because remember again, we have a number of people called the Kohen Gadol. There is the Kohen Gadol who is anointed with Shemen HaMishcha. Then there is the Kohen Mashuach Milchama. Kohen goes out to war. There is the Kohen Meruba Begadim, who is also the Kohen Gadol, but not anointed through Shemen HaMishcha. All of these people have Kohen Gadol status. And in general, they all have pretty much the same basic halachos. The Gemara is just pointing out the exceptions over here, that halacha l'maisa, again, for hakravas on aninos, for the ability to offer up a karban while in a state of aninos, that only applies to the Kohen who is anointed with oil, not to the other Kohanim. I might have thought the Gemara says, maybe again the halach is after you see this distinction by aninos. Maybe also only the Kohen Gadol anointed with Shemen HaMishcha have to marry a basula. Maybe the other ones don't have to. Talmud Lomar vihu. Therefore, both the pasuk says vihu, and vihu comes to include all of them in the din of basula. Kitanai, and both in reality, again, this is machlokes tanaim. Vu isha b'vsula yikach. Both the pasuk says he shall marry a woman who is a basula. Achar shechilek kasav riba. After the Torah goes ahead and makes a chilik between them, the Torah includes all of them. Div Rabbi Shmuel. So we'll say after Torah makes a distinction between the various types of Kohanim Gedolim, Torah once again groups them all together in the obligation to marry a woman who is a basula. These are Rabbi Shmuel. Kiva Omer Eini Ela Sha'avar Machmas Karyo Machmas Mumin Minayin. We'll say Rabbi Kiva says, I only know. We'll say if you take a look at Rashi for just a moment. Rashi says over here. Rashi says, Avar Machmas Mumo Minayin Talmud Lomar Vahu Dafilu Avar Rishon Machmas Mumo Asra Ba'amana. So I only know. Let me read the first part of this. So the Gemara says over here as follows. I only know, Rabbi Kiva says, that even if a Kohen Gadol cannot work as a Kohen Gadol because let's say he had a seminal mission, even during that time when he can't go ahead and work as the Kohen Gadol, I still know that there's a prohibition for him to marry an almana. How do I know machmas mumin minayin? How do I know that even if a Kohen, let's say, has some type of significant mum, which renders him unfit long term? We're going to discuss this more in depth in just a moment. How do I know that he still can't marry an almana? Talmud Lomar vihu. Therefore, we'll say the pasuk says vihu, which tells us that again, once he's in the state of a Kohen Gadol, he cannot marry an almana, can only marry a basula. We'll say this is the follow-up to the next question. Ba'minei Rabba, Rav Nachman, Mashiach shenitztara mahu ba'amana. We'll say listen to this kasha. What happens if the Kohen Mashuach, the anointed Kohen, he got saras? So we'll say obviously if he has saras, he cannot function as the Kohen Gadol, right? Obviously, because he can't go into something that's with saras. So we'll say, what's the shaila? Mahu ba'amana. Can he marry an amana? Can he marry an almana now that he can't serve as a kohen gadol because of his saras? Can he marry an almana? I will say now this might be a short-term marriage because once he's healed, he can't be married. But the Maisa, for the period that he has saras, is he permitted to be married to an almana? So the Gemara says, mitchadachi. Do we say that no? Once you were the kohen gadol, we'll say then what? Remember again, we saw already before that once you're kohen gadol, that status stays you. So where do we see that? Where do we see that? Remember again that even after he's no longer the operating kohen gadol, if he accidentally transgresses, he still brings the power, the right to cover of the kohen gadol. So do we say mitchadachi? Once kohen gadol, always kohen gadol, and therefore again, even if he can't actively serve, he cannot marry an almana. Or miftar pater. Or we'll say maybe again no. That the prohibition to marry an almana is a function of being the active kohen gadol. Once you are set aside from being the kohen gadol because of your tzaras, you can marry an almana. Lo hava biyadei. So let's remember again. Rava asked this shaila of Rav Nachman. So Rav Nachman didn't know. So what happened? Zimna hami Yosef Rav Papa becoming baile. So one time Rav Papa was sitting and he was asking this question. Amar lei huna breid Rav Nachman Rav Papa. So I say, so what happened? So Rav Papa was asking this question. So what happens? So Huna, the son of Rav Nachman, said to Rav Papa, Tanina, we learned it in a Mishnah. I only know ultimately a Kohen who was the obligation to marry a Basula, or actually the prohibition to marry an Amana. I only know that even if a Kohen is disqualified because of a similar mission, the prohibition of only marrying a Basula still applies. Avar Machmas Mumin Minayin. Haidon Rabbi said that even if a Kohen is disqualified from service because of his mum, that Rabbi said the prohibition upon marrying certain women still applies. Tamalomar Vehu. Rabbi said the word Vehu means what? Vehu Isha B'Solayikach means that he is always in his status of a Kohen Gadol. Even if he can't actively serve in that office, Vehu, he is the Kohen Gadol, and therefore even if he has a mum and can't actively serve, he can only marry a Basula. So listen to how beautiful this is. So Rav Papa asked the kasha. Rav Papa didn't know either. Huna answered the question. This is so beautiful. So come nashke bereshe. Rav Papa got up and kissed Huna on his head. V'yohev le barte, and gave him his daughter in marriage. Let's say so. Such a beautiful Gemara. I'm sure, of course, he called the references on the resume first, of course. but Lamaisa, after he did that, he went ahead and he gave him a kiss. And he gave him his daughter. Incredible. So let's do another Mishnah. Kohen Gadol. We'll say. So remember again, we made reference to this before. It's actually very fascinating. Kohen Gadol pouring milamato v'hedot milamalo. So we'll say the halacha is that a Kohen Gadol goes ahead and pouring milamato. We'll say, which means what? Tears his clothing. In the event that chas v'shalom there's a loss, he does kriya on the bottom of his clothing. V'hedot milamalo. But a regular Kohen could do kriya on the top. Kohen Gadol makrivonim, a Kohen Gadol could go ahead and offer up a carbon even in a state of aninos, v'lo ochel, but he cannot eat it. He could offer it, but he can't eat it. V'ahedyot lo makri v'lo ochel. We'll say regular Kohen can't offer it and can't eat it. Can't offer it and can't eat it. Gemara, Amarav, lemata mamish, lemala mamish. So we'll say, what does it mean when the Kohen Gadol does kriya on the bottom and the Kohen Hedyot does kriya on the top? So we'll say Rav says that literally again it means the bottom of the garment and the top of the garment. So we'll say bottom of the garment would mean like by the hem, right? And top of the garment would be ultimately again by the neck, by the neck. So the Gemara says Shmuel says no. Lemata mikame safa. Lemata means we'll say below the neckline. So we'll say you kind of see it like on a t-shirt. So the neckline, I don't know what the right technical term is, like. I'm sorry, like not like a shirt, like on a t-shirt, like the neckline is like reinforced, right? So we'll say. So the Gemara says. So Shmuel says lamata means below the reinforced neckline. What is it? The piping of the shirt. Sounds like a concrete term to me. Right? So the piping. So the piping fine. But right below the neckline. So the Kohen Gadol. Let's go work backwards. The Kohen Hedyot Rabosai, when he cuts kriya for a loved one, he cuts kriya at the neckline. They cut the top of the garment. That's lamala. Lamata means the Kohen Gadol cuts not at the neckline, but rather in the garment itself. Well, so now what's the chap of that? Because when you cut in the garment itself, then what happens? The tear might not necessarily be visible. So I'll say so machlokes ultimately again lamala mikamei safa v'zev tzava. So I'll say machlokes Rav and Shmuel ultimately again where we are actually cutting. Are we cutting what does lamala lamata mean? Rav says lamata means literally at the bottom of the garment. That's where the kohen gadol is cutting. The mala means the top of the garment. That's where the kohen hedyot is cutting. Shmuel says no. Lamala means at the neckline. That's where the kohen gadol. That's where the kohen hedyot is cutting. And lamata means what? Lamata means below the neckline. That's where the kohen gadol is cutting. Meisvei akola meisiv kulan ratza mavdil kamei safa shalo ratza eno mavdil kamei safa shalo. So we'll say actually no. We'll stop over here for today. We'll pick up Emirat Hashem with this meisvei tomorrow. Shkoyach.
So the kohen gadol.